I'm Ali Calvaruso from Yoga Home. This is Allison, who also teaches at Yoga Home. Today we're going to be breaking down Sun Salutation A. So Allison is going to move through Sun Salutation A once on her own, and then we're going to break down the postures one by one. And she'll come back to the top of the mat, starting in Tadasana, standing at the top of the mat. Feet either together or hip width distance apart. She can have her arms by her sides, palms face open to open up her chest. And she's grounding equally through all four corners of her feet. So to make sure that she's grounding, she can lift up all 10 toes and then slowly lower them. Engaging her quads. The crown of her head reaches towards the ceiling. She can pull her low ribs in towards each other. Good. On her next inhale, her arms reach up to the sky. And on her exhale, she folds forward. So if her hamstrings are tight, she can bend her knees slightly here, just to give her some space through her back. And then she'll lift up halfway to a flat back to her shoulder blades towards each other. So she's finding a cat back. So when you move through cat and cow, it's the same thing. Shoulder blades draw together, flat back here. And then she'll plant her hands down, step back to a high plank. In her plank, her legs are squeezing towards each other. She's pressing through her heels, and she's pressing the floor away with her hands, so her back starts to round like it's a turtle shell. So there's a few options here. She can either come to Chataranga, she can do knees, chest, chin, she can lower her knees and come to her stomach, or she can lower all the way down. We'll move through all of them. The first one will be lowering her knees and slowly lowering to her stomach. So she'll take her time, elbows draw in towards her body as she lowers all the way down. Good. Coming back up to high plank, we'll move to the next one. Good. Low belly pulls in her high plank. Shoulder blades draw away from each other. Next one is without her knees down, slowly lowering to her stomach. Good. Elbows are squeezing in the whole time. And pressing back up, high plank. And third one is knees, chest, and chin. So she'll lower her knees down. Her bottom stays up in the air as she lowers her chin and chest right between her hands. Elbows still squeeze in. She's using her body to control her, and then she pulls all the way forward. And last one, pressing up to high plank. This one is the most difficult. It's Chaturanga. So she's going to lower just halfway. As she does that, she's going to make sure her belly doesn't drop by engaging her serratus. Good. And she can come all the way down. So we'll do that one more time. Pressing up to high plank, she'll lower to Chaturanga, halfway down. So just about to her elbow height, you can see she's holding it here. And then come forward to upward facing dog. Her tops of her feet come to the mat. Chest pulls through, shoulder blades draw towards each other. Her forearms are internally rotating, her shoulders are externally rotating. Good, and she can lower back to her belly. So if upward facing dog is not accessible, she can come either to cobra or baby cobra. So for baby cobra, her hands will come down. So her wrists are right underneath her elbows, shoulder blades squeeze towards each other, elbows squeeze towards each other, and then her shoulders come back and down. Good. She'll imagine her hands are pulling back and then lower back down. Full cobra. Her hands will come down a little bit further, so the heels of her palms are barely touching the floor. And she'll start to peel up, lifting a little bit higher. Her low belly engages, so she's supporting her low back. Elbows squeeze together. You do not have to straighten your arms here. And lower down. So from her stomach, we'll come to downward facing dog. She'll press up to hands and knees, just for a simple transition. And she'll find cow pose, so dropping her stomach, look up, so she already has this nice curve in her lumbar spine, and from here tuck your toes, and she'll slowly begin to lift her knees. So keeping that space in her back, she'll start to press her chest towards her thighs, and then taking her time, she can always keep a bend into her knees. She'll start to straighten her legs a little bit more. Her sits bones are the highest point. She's internally rotating her hands and forearms and externally rotating her shoulders to keep some space in her chest. Her feet are about hip width distance apart, so about the size of 2 fists. She can measure that by turning one foot in and about the size of one of her feet. So she'll move through one more time, gazing towards her hands, stepping or hopping her feet. And she'll meet us in Tadasana. Okay? And she folds forward. Good. Lift halfway up, her shoulder blades draw together. Then she plants her hands down, steps back to a plank. In her plank, she's completely engaged as she presses away from the floor until lower halfway down, low plank. Up dog, tops of her feet to the mat, let your chest pull through, good. Down dog, hips to the sky. So she leads with her hips as she comes back to downward facing dog. So that's Surya Namaskar A. You can find more videos on ouryogahome.com or come to the studio and take class with me, Allison, or anybody else who teaches here. Thanks.